Okay, there we go. We have sound. Just gonna go check up on the streaming. Okay, there we go. We have sound. Excellent. Just gonna go check up. Then mute myself. It's good to check up on these things. Okay, so audio check. What we have here is a circle. And what we gotta know is that they have very flat heads, so we're gonna be using that for a bit of perspective. What I don't particularly appreciate out of this picture that you've done is that it almost mimics the reference picture you had with the expression, so we're going to skip out on the whole tongue thing for the time being. Now we've got the general shape of the head, that should be something like this. And then we got, I'm gonna put a new line for shoulders. We're gonna look in green. So something like that for the arms. Here is a very awkward arm though. I'm not exactly sure what it's doing. The pauldron seems to indicate that this forearm is going downwards rather than sideways. So we can adjust that, of course, to a more a more comfortable pose. So what I have here is the chest, hips, and then after we got this bulge for the chest out, we mark where the collar is. We place in the shoulders where we want them to be going. And we curve out the angle of the arms that we want. I'm going to switch over to an orange. Now, set to normal. Okay. Brighter orange. Now, what I usually end up doing for a lot of these sketches is that I put in these cut lines across the arms to indicate what the angle is. It's like if you have sleeves on or bands across the arms. It helps a lot with the perspective. Let's start to go a bit darker here. Like this. This is the thumb. And I'm drawing out what I see through. It's as though I have X-ray vision. Now I'm gonna grade that off a bit. Let's go redder. around here would be the knuckles. Gonna put in some shading between those fingers, because what we gotta remember is that we have that bridging gap between the fingers and the knuckle area, so that needs to be a little bit shaded like that. Alright. So let's get back down towards the legs. I've also centered the original picture to the middle of this canvas so that we can just recrop to what we want. Actually, for this kind of stance, we have the shoulders going this way in space, so we will want the hips to go a bit more that way in space. So we're gonna flatten it out a bit, open up this leg, alright. Back to over here, we've got some darks. The angle of these will be more like that. Okay, let's head back to the head now. We've got a basic structure happening. We've gone and done the gesture drawing, made adjustments. Gonna check on chat. I am not a particularly loud person, so I'm gonna try to get the mic a little bit closer to where I am. And of course there's the volume knob. Alright, time for the head. Let's get back to it. We're gonna use bigger. Now I'm drawing out what the head should be like before adding armor, because I'm just honestly confused with all that armor on top. I've also done a little bit of research to try to find a good reference for circles. Right. And I can look into one if you want. Let's get the brow up here. So if this is parallel, then it should be the same as over there. The ears start off there, more down here. Here we go. Let's get to the grays. Okay, now we're gonna get into a bit of skeletal structure. Smaller, what we have was an eye around here. I've put 2 dots, and from there I will be sketching out just a little bit the eye socket and then the cheekbone. Kind of like that. Alright, so then we've got the angle at which the eyelid covers the eye and how it recesses back to the last point. There we go. And we gotta see the undercurve here. So considering that this is the cheekbone, we're going to have the jaw come out from there. I'm going to go to the greens. No, green's mixing up with this, so I'll go to the reds. I'll go to the reds and purples. So we've got the jawline that actually goes way to over here. So we've got all this, which is the jaw, and we need to follow along with some perspective here, and we'll know that the other side of the jaw would be somewhere around here. Now, to bring this edge of the mouth all the way to there. So we've got a chin as well. And then we've got that bit of stretch of flap along on the skin. So here then we add the alignment for the teeth. We can add an A tongue kind of just flecking out a little bit. Let's go to some grays. Reds, just to fill this color a little bit. Alright. Grays for the teeth. And gotta pick on these blues. Get some pinks kind of in there. For that bit, the nose will be around there. It's just a slit. Oh, we got a basic form here. And that is sketching out some gesture drawing for the pose. Now we're gonna look at the armor. I don't even understand what is going on with this armor, so I'm gonna have to look at the original concept that was referred to. Checking on... No, nothing more said in chat. Let's see. Here is... Okay, got the reference. It is rather small and difficult to tell what is going on. Okay, so what we have for the top is kind of a curving beak. And then, what do we have? We have... Because what we see in the reference is in the profiling. Oh, goodness sakes. It is hard to determine what it is. It is very hard. I have to keep looking back at it. So there's a segment that goes off like this. This curves down, and that's kind of over the eyes a little bit. I've also noticed that there's a small detail from these eyes where it stretches down over the cheek towards the mouth. Let's get some more white on there. That's too white. Not so white. I even went over that darn thing again. Silly. Part of the problem with using reference is that it only tells you so much information on the angles. You have to actually guess what's going on with the rest of the armor. Doesn't that suck? So we're gonna get back, and what I saw here was a segment that goes off on the side. It should actually be guarding this much. Intricate armor is very stupid. So I really need to sketch out what the posture of the body is before even adding on any armor. So that becomes somewhat problematic. I'm really not that familiar with circles. So drawing them out has been a bit of an inconvenience. But what matters most is to get some reference, get a grasp of a gesture drawing, and then to just construct over it. You can adjust all you want. Meh. So let's actually do some sketching here with some of the direct line tools. What I have set up here is the curve line set to a brush size start and ending by percentage, with starting and ending at 20. And I can go change the size of this over here with the regular with the regular brush sizes. So I'm here, and if I do that, what we see is the circled ends, and if I let go, it's going to do the percentage size reduction, like that. Now, for me, that seems perfectly okay, particularly because if you want to continue making more curves, it's easier to work from points in the middle, like that, so it's less noticeable with the transition. It's still there, you just have to re-go over it again, point to point, and when you're properly aligned, boom, nice, and that's pretty clean. So let's get this to curve in a little bit more. That's not very nice. It doesn't like curving in great amounts like that, so we're gonna have it just curve a little bit like that, and then we're gonna go over it again. There we go. So when you change the amounts, such as, for example, if we set to 40 and 60, this is where the 40 half ends and the 60 half begins. So it's just openly open fades throughout. So if we work out some thinner lines, let's go down to 15 here, and we've got it at 40, 60. Where you start and where you end is going to be important. And it's going to do these lines for you, kind of like so. It's good to go over them again a few times. And then you can use the erase, well, not exactly erase, but the empty channel to do erasing. So if I do erasing like this, it will only erase what the line was supposed to be. So let's go back, color, we'll reduce in size. And that's a bit how that works. So how to work with the continuous curve tool. It's just a little bit trickier. Curve tool simple is really easy to use. One, a drag over, let go, bring the curve to where you need it to be, and click. Curve tool is click, locate, and just start to make your turns like so. If you're working on a vector layer, then you can just easily touch these up afterwards and adjust them. But here is an example of straight on, and to stop the line, because it's just going to go on and on until you have the line stop. Just double click to let it go. Now I have what settings on this? I need to add that fade setting. Start and end, turn it on. Let's bring this up to 40% and 40%. Good. Specify percentage. Okay, so 30%, 30%. Okay, brush size, good. So, start off point 1 to point 2, and you're going to put halfway in the curve, like this. Let go, get to the second point, and the curves follow along in the direction that you are drawing. So if I put another one here with the same curvature, like that. Like that. Like that. What is the color setting on this? Brush size. Ink, background. Well, that explains it. Let's get to normal. You can also change it to fills and the such. So for example, if I draw out a mug, I'm going to start off with a gray. I'm going to make a nice little weird mug. That does that shape. No, I'm on the head layer here. Awesome. Okay, so now we can put in, if we go to line instead, I'm going to put in a reflecting edge. Kind of like that. Then you let go, double click. So you get an idea. Start the curve. And in the curve, double click. Now it starts to show the continuation of the curve, but if you double click immediately, it will cancel out that last bit of line. Time to check on the chats. Nothing new. Okay. So that is a little bit of how to work with these tools. Straight line, got so much adjustments to do here that you can do. Curve. If we go to curve tool, we can make that adjustment as well. This is point to point, and this is a different kind. So let's see what happens. Ah, it's a parallel. So this is a lot more squarish in format. Not particularly desirable for nice curves. Oh, it's a French curve. That's what happens. Well. First curve. Oh, it's the other way. Okay, so I need to get the first curve, then the second curve, relative to where I started. Okay. There we go. So, left to right, let go, left to right. Now it's a little bit more difficult to calculate where that would end up going. Do I have it on? Yeah, the input is it's pretty high. Not much I can do for the input for the mic. I think I dialed it up a little bit, but hey. Anything more with the tools to review? Oh, yeah. When you're working in a vector layer, you can't fill. There is no fill. You can do fills with vectors in Photoshop because it's basically path shapes, whereas this is depending on lines. So, for example, if you do this, you have no options as to what type of line or fill it's going to be. So let's just do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's just shapes. You can't have fills. You can go, however, to control point and do all sorts of things to this. If you draw straight in with vector lines, we're going to use a brush with a texture on it. I'm going to put some... yeah. So here we can see it has a texture. Let's go grab. We can see all the points it's depending on. Now we can simplify it like so. Simplify vector line. Now we go back and we see where all these curves go. You can make your adjustments like that. And another handy trick with this is redraw vector lines. So you can pick out a thicker brush and then change how much pressure you put down, and that's still the same vector lines. It doesn't like make any thicker lines as it would in Illustrator. It doesn't add anything. It's the same vectors but with more information on the line itself. This point has more thickness, this one has little thickness, and it all mathematically converts to everything. So that's using the vector layer. Well, I have a few things to do now, and I hope we can come back soon. Have yourself a fun time sketching Clip, and we will draw some more later. Take care.